views and opinions in the following program are those of the host and guests and do not reflect those of Ernest Smith or Ernest Smith Productions. This is ESP TV.
Good evening and welcome to ESP TV. My name is Karen Bryson, and tonight our topic is civil rights and history, and there's so much to discuss and so many questions I want to ask our favorite guest this evening. Please help me welcome again, and they've both been here several times, so I'm still going to give you a little background on them so those in the listening audience that aren't familiar with them can know who they are and relate to what we're talking about. My first guest is attorney Amina Willard. She's a criminal defense attorney, and she has more than 20 years experience as a defense attorney. Amina also has two sons, one with a mental health disability, and the other son is a transgender. Amina has worked in the trenches with victims and the accused, as well as the families of the victims and accused, gaining knowledge and a way to effectuate crime prevention. She ran for Norfolk Commonwealth Attorney, and while she did not obtain that seat, she has still been very effective in helping people of color to know their rights, to have them exercise their rights in the legal system, and she's there for whatever needs to be done as far as minorities. Thank you and welcome, Amina. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you so much for having me again. It is always a pleasure to come on your
Thank you. We'd
show.
have you on every week if we could. There's so much that you have to tell us, and it's always an excellent way for us to learn new things about what's going on in the legal system and to know that you are right there behind us if we need you.
Thank you.
My second guest is General Mike Payne, meaning he's the general of the National Original Black Panthers and chapter leader of the Black Panthers of Virginia. Mike began his career as an actor and music artist. And while he did manage to have success, but on several levels, he thought the mentality of the black community was being destroyed by their own music, and especially the way women and men were portrayed in videos and lyrics. To effectuate change, Mike started recording, and the positive light that he elicited from his CDs to pass on led him to the Panthers, where he has stood and been very instrumental in helping to educate the youth in the communities, working with the civil leaders, standing with citizens who have been mistreated and abused by the police, and within the legal system. General Payne, thank you for joining us again.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. And yeah, it's going to be a great show. I look forward to it.
Absolutely. Considering both of you all are, I guess would say you're in the same vein as far as working within your priorities as far as helping minorities and communities and people that are just unjustly fettered out here. It's ridiculous. The first question I'd like to ask is, why in 2022 are we still fighting on many levels just for voting rights, where they're trying to change the legislation now and make it more difficult for people to vote? Amina, can you weigh in on this and tell me what you think about this?
So making it more difficult for people of color to vote, just to be clear. And that statement kind of sums up why it's happening. So the foundation of this country was built on slavery. And when you have that foundation and you don't get rid of the systems that are in place, after slavery, there was Jim Crow, and they just built on top of the foundation of slavery instead of tearing it down and starting all over. So you're going to get these types of issues that are going to continue to crop up until you get rid of the original systems that were in place and rethink them, put them back in place, well, put other systems in place instead of the ones that were in place during the time of slavery.
I agree, but if the white administration in 1776 made the laws and it has trickled down through all these generations that are still in place, unless we have enough minority or people of color, and well, just minorities in general, that doesn't just pertain to black people, but Asian people, Hispanic people, and anyone else of color being in the higher echelons in legislation to make these changes. So do you feel that anything at all at this point, because we're trying to get more people in office, but we still can't seem to make any headway? General, what do you think about that?
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons I feel we have this issue. One, because we as black people still believe in a rigged system. We still believe that, voting, when you're voting, like I always say, and I've said it many times even on this show, left wing, right wing, same bird. So it doesn't matter if you vote Democrat, Republican, or it really doesn't matter. Either way it goes, they have the same agenda, and the agenda doesn't include us. So we have to get to a point where we realize, because every term, it's always rock the vote and go out and vote. On top of that, we give out our vote so easily when we need to stop it. We find a candidate that plays the trumpet or listens to the latest rap song, and all of a sudden we're like, go vote for him. No, it doesn't. It shouldn't work that way. Stop giving away your vote so easily. Also, with unity, we need to unite on one common goal. See, they've separated us so much as far as a people. We're separated in all these different agendas when the black agenda has to come first. Once the black agenda comes first and we say this is what we want, as a minority, then they will really have to come to us for that vote, and they would have to make a change, because otherwise they're not going to get that vote. But when we're so sporadically spread out, some voting for this, some voting for that, the rich forgetting about the poor, so on and so forth, you're gonna get that. So it's never gonna work for us until we either come together and put our focus all in one hat to where we know which way we want to go as a people, just like other ethnicities do. But we got to work on that.
Absolutely. Amina, since you were already in the political arena last year, do you feel that what General has just explained to us pretty much holds true?
Yes, I agree with him 100%. And so what I've started doing, I'm trying to do what I can to help basically push forward the things that are of importance to the black community. And I'm gonna just give you some, like, a real specific example. But before I do that, I wanted to say that what I'm doing in my practice, what I'm gonna start doing is letting people know how they can help themselves.
Okay.
At this juncture, I'm not taking any new clients. And the reason is so that I can, there's things that I want to focus on. And part of that is kind of empowering people. But in terms of what General Payne indicated, yes, since I ran, there was a lot of what I saw. And what I wanted to say, just to put it in, a very clear context, in the city of Norfolk, there was the Super Ward 7 seat had about 8 people running for that seat. And what I saw is there was one, what I will call an establishment candidate. And when I say establishment candidate, a candidate that the people who are already in power wanted in place. And that was Danica Royster. And then you had the other 7 community leaders that, the community was pushing. And what really needs to happen in order for change to occur in the city of Norfolk is, and this is, I live in Norfolk, so that's why I focus on Norfolk. But what we need to do as a community is, if there is one establishment candidate, and then there are 7 community leaders, I feel like the community leaders the 7 community leaders need to sit down and get together and try to support one leader, so that there's only one person going against that establishment candidate, and everybody in the community pushes that one person. That way the vote's not being split. That is a very simple way to deal with this issue. If we had done that in Super Ward 7, we would have gotten at least one of the community leaders in. But when we always split the vote, we're never going to get, there's always going to be an establishment person. And so what I'm working on now, I know that there's we just need to come together. So trust me, I'm working on that. There's a group of people, and I'm working on in different ways throughout the community, but I'm very vested in it. And so that's part of the reason that I'm not taking any new clients now. There's other reasons, but I'm very vested in making sure that what I saw happen over the past year does not happen again in Norfolk.
Well, considering that is definitely common sense, why has no one ever thought of that before as trying to get everyone together? Because you make a lot of sense saying that, and I wish that had been coming to the forefront like last year when things were going on.
I think people think it, but they don't want to say it. Like, it's hard, because basically what I'm saying is, if we want a community leader, if there's 7 people running, 6 people need to bow out. Not only bow out, but ask the people that were supporting them to support the one that's going to stay in. And so, that, if that's the goal, then we just need, if the goal is to get a community leader in and make sure that establishment person does not get in, I'm very confident that we can do that. It's just about having the discussion and being that blunt about it. Like, that's what it is. That's how we can do this. So, again, I'm really, there's a lot. I'm glad I ran, because I've been in the community and I know what the issues are that need to be overcome in order to get this done. And I know that Norfolk can do it. I know that we can do it. So that's just plain and simple. We should never have an election like that again, ever.
You gave a lot of pros towards that, but the con and the flip side of that is that everyone running evidently feels that they would be qualified to do that job more so than someone else, and they look at their own statistics and what they can do. So it may still be a crab in the barrel type thing.
Yeah, but I know that we can overcome it. I think when you start thinking about it, and I'm going to give you an example. Do you remember when Terry McAuliffe was mad at Governor Northam for doing blackface, and he was, saying all this stuff? Well, you understand that when Terry McAuliffe got ready to run, Northern was behind him. They were together, pushing for Terry McAuliffe to win. And I strongly feel that if Terry McAuliffe had won, then in 4 years, McAuliffe would have gotten behind Northern to win. And then 4 years later, Northern would have gotten behind McCullough to win. So my point is, even though they had a beef, they got together in order to support a common interest. Black people need to do the same thing. We need to get with the program.
I agree. Let's talk about incarceration rates. Among the founding NATO members, the U.S. has ranked highest with the incarceration rate of 100,000 populace per populace. That is, we have 716 compared to the United Kingdom, which is England, that has 147, and the lowest one on the list is Norway with only 72. It doesn't make sense that so many minorities and people of color are incarcerated over here when there are, or maybe there aren't that many minorities in these other countries like Portugal and Luxembourg, Canada, Belgium, Italy, France, Netherlands, or Denmark. But this is crazy, especially since I heard on the news recently that they're using, and this is not new though, minorities and other inmates to test the COVID vaccines and other measures of medicines. Is that even legal?
Did you
Well,
want to
weigh
give
in on
General
that.
Payne?
General, do you want to weigh in on that, please?
On the legal part, I think that's her question. But as far
Yeah.
as the rest of it goes, but as far as the rest of it goes, yeah. The thing is, we have a lot of prison here in America is a business. So, I spoke to a sheriff. He didn't know who I was, but he was a little tipsy, and he was at a function, and he got to talking to me, and he was just saying, "Hey, you know, our business is to fill these prisons. There's a quota that has to be reached."
Oh my gosh.
And with making criminal with making criminal
Criminalization.
crime. Yeah, I'm sorry. Crime. My mother is trying to call the mess out of me. But yeah, we're making crime a business, and making it to where the prison system is a complete business. I think that creates a bigger problem than we know. And now you have a lot of minorities that are consistently arrested, and this has been a thing, like Queen Amina just had said before, about coming from slavery, coming from black codes, and with the officers and overseers, as it was put, used to do. This was their job. So these are problems that we've had for a long time. It's nothing surprising. Also, same thing with testing different things on our black people. That's happened over and over again. It's nothing new. And as it says, even in the Constitution, slavery does still exist as long as you have committed that crime. So we have to be careful with these things, and realize what's at stake when we're out here, whether we're doing something illegal or not. Because we could be picked up for it.
Well, that's nothing new, and they've continued to do that, haven't they? Let me ask, actually, General, I'm going to start with you with this question. Special Forces killed the ISIS leader, and they bombed the building where he was with his wife and children and other people that were on the third floor of this building.
Mm.
Personally, it's one thing to go after him as a leader, and whether or not she agreed with the principles of what he was trying to do, I still feel some kind of way about the women and children that were in that building being killed. You're not an actual general in war and carrying a gun, but how do you feel about that, Mike?
Well, I did do a stint in the military, and yes, we've been over and did the whole Afghanistan and Enduring Freedom and things of that nature. But it's tough. It's real tough because, first of all, I mean, if we're talking on a moral level, um, a lot of people, even the ones we consider the bad guys, they all feel right in what they're doing, at least most of them. Whether we deem it as wrong, but just like if you take someone like Osama bin Laden or people like that, they feel they have a certain cause because of whatever it is.
Right.
America will go someplace and set up shop, uh, bring our culture over to somewhere where it technically doesn't belong, and and will tarnish other people's lands. They'll go over there, and in history, America has gone to different places and destroyed everything they went over there, raped and pillaged, and whatever else. So
Absolutely.
it's really tough to see when innocence is lost. But then we wonder in return why, when we attack somebody or we go over to somebody's land and then they attack us with a certain type of guerrilla warfare, why this is happening, why the towers are getting bombed, why the innocents, why not attack the army? Well, because they can't. They don't have the resources to do so. They don't have the armies to do so. They have to do things in different ways in order to fight back. So it's almost like a giant picking on an ant. That ant has to find a way in, in order to be able to fight. So it's tough, and America has done this before, even on their own land. They've bombed
Yes.
groups of black people, neighborhoods, whole neighborhoods.
Yes.
They've
Yes.
done all type of stuff. So we have to really understand it. It's nothing new. I'm never surprised at America and how much blood it has on her hands. She continues to do this over and over again.
Along those same veins, I want to ask Amina, and then Mike, I want you to weigh in on this. Okay, I broached the subject that on a moral level, I not abuse, but I abhor the fact that the women and children in the building had to be casualties of war, because the part that I'm going to bring up now is our system is trying to dictate how women feel about our bodies. So we can't go and have an abortion now if that's what we choose for whatever rape or incest or whatever else. But it's okay to go to someone else's country and kill their women and children, whether they're pregnant or not. But I'm just using that as an example. Amina, what do you think?
Well, um, again, I mean, this country was built on paternalistic views. So they tell women what to do historically, and tell women in other countries what to do. Bombing women have been treated as lesser in this country from the beginning. Black women even lesser, if that's
Right.
possible. So that history and that thinking that we can tell women what to do is it's again back from, it's got historical roots, and that's what this country continues to do. Go back to the roots that are bad. They're bad roots. They just need to be um pulled out and gotten rid of. But that's what this country has done, tried to tell women what to do, and this is just a continuation of that.
Wow. Mike, do you have anything to say to add on to this?
Yeah, I mean, I think that women should definitely have the choice on what to do with their own bodies. There are certain circumstances where I could really see the issue. I think there are times where people will use that as almost birth control, which is completely wrong. I'm not with that. But there are situations, and I think they should have the choice to be able to choose their future and what's going on with them. And I, I believe in that wholeheartedly.
Okay. I'm going to throw this question out there, and Amina, we can start with you to answer, and Mike, you can follow. Do you either of you see any change at all with the up and coming generation to step up and be more vocal and visible and proactive in civil rights? Because they seem to be ready on all fronts to wear barely nothing and follow their singers and actors and athletes or whatever. But when it comes to even more so than just Black Lives Matter, to become acquainted with what's going on in government, to really step up and be more than what they're seen as. Do you think that the next generation is really going to fail, Amina?
I have a great deal of hope for the next generation. Um, Millennials, so they're different from us in a lot of ways, and because they are different, my belief is that they will thrive. The first thing is, when I was growing up, we were taught, go to school, graduate from school, get out, work for a company, get retirement, get pension. The
Sounds
young
so
people
boring.
nowadays, yeah, that the young people nowadays, they're like, what? Work for somebody? What? I'm working for myself. I'm making my own way. So, and they are very, they question authority, which in this country is not a bad thing. You know,
Right.
if someone says, well, you have, even if it's a police officer, you have to, you know, do A, B, and C. They're not like, okay, yes, sir. They're like, why? Why do I have to do A, B, and C? And so they are very independent. And even though that sounds like disrespecting authority, if you look at what has happened in this country with police officers, and other types of authority, even, people in the White House, where some of them are being accused of being part of the insurrection. When you look at the authority, then you do kind of have to question, like, even though you're in a position of authority, I don't trust you, you know? So I think the younger generation, they will do fine. They are very scary because when I say scary, they don't mind taking risks. Like, they don't mind telling a police officer that has a gun, no, I'm not going to do what you tell me to do because you shouldn't be talking to me in the first place, So when I say they're scary, I mean they don't have a problem speaking up for themselves, which can create a dangerous situation. It should not, but I have a lot of hope for the younger generation. They're going to do fine. They're going to do so much better than I think we have done.
Okay, that's one opinion. Mike, how do you feel about this?
Uh, I'm always hopeful, but I think I see it a bit differently, simply because of social media for one, and just from the research on history and how our black people were in the 60s, 70s, 80s, even um, it was different. The generation coming up now, yes, they do speak up, like Queen Amina said, they do speak up, but the fight uh, isn't as strong. The unity of our people just getting together is not as strong at all. It's not even close. It's almost like if I go to shut a store down, it's disrespecting our people instead of everybody actually banding together and saying, we're not going to go to that store. We're not going to shop there anymore. They're going to go to it just because it's convenient, because it's closer.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
Back in the day, they would walk for miles and boycott and do whatever. And,
Right.
that's not happening now, so it's really different. And I think with so many different opinions and things like that, there's not one single nucleus or single person that somebody follows or anything like that, to where it's like, okay, this is what we're doing, or at least maybe a couple different leaders. As Brother Malcolm said, we should never look to our entertainers uh, as leaders. We shouldn't do that. And the reason for that is because they have a ceiling, they have a cap of what they can do. They can't just they have to stop at a certain level. Otherwise, they're going to lose endorsements, they're going to lose money, they're going to lose these different things. So when that happens, they're going to stop and they're going to apologize and they're going to whatever, unless they're planning on risking it all. And most of them don't.
Right.
They fall for self-preservation. So um, with the new generation, I don't know. Hopefully some step up, some are willing to fight back and willing to give it all. As I always say, the reason why we continue to be in certain situations is because they realize that we're not going to unite and we're not going to actually give our lives for what's needed.
What we believe in,
You know,
yes.
as a whole, some will, but I'm saying
Okay.
as a whole, we're not gonna. They know we're not gonna do that. As some of the other uh, groups of people, you know, that band together. When you look at the Asians, the Mexicans, they band together so strong, and
Yes.
you know, we need to do the same. But they know, you know, they can distract us easily, and they can separate us through different little programs and agendas and things like that. And if they keep doing that, they got us.
Absolutely. And feeding into that, let me share this with you. This was on CNN earlier today. From 2015 to 2020, 4,000 minorities were brutalized by police from only 6 of the major police departments. Fully 20% of them were black girls, making their abuse more than 6 times as likely as white girls. Why exactly are police attacking black girls? Their excuses are that their excuses for them punching, tasing, pointing guns at, body slamming these young girls, and sometimes killing them, these unarmed girls, include pretty much what normal teenagers or children do. They talk back. And everyone keeps saying, well, if you just do what the police say, then you'll be fine. We've also seen that that doesn't matter either, whether you're compliant or whether you're not. So, General, I agree with you. Amina, I would like to hope that the generation below us will do things differently so that there'll be a better understanding and gathering of forces together so that some of this will stop. But we're still throwing what the police are doing blatantly in their face. You're showing it on social media, and there's still slow retaliation for the government to do anything about it. General, I want to ask you first, and then I'll go to Amina. If the January 6th riots against the Capitol had been filled with a bunch of black people as opposed to white people doing this, do you not feel that we would have been shot immediately, no questions asked?
Absolutely, I believe it would have been a slaughter, as everything is. You know, we're always painted that way. Even if there's a riot, you know, if it's black people, they say we're looting, you know, we're tearing up the city, whatever. If it's a bunch of white people doing it, then they say they're looking for resources. You know, it's just a different way that the media will paint those pictures. And yeah, if that was us uh, running up through the Capitol like that, oh, we definitely would have got hit with something. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Amina, what do you think? Because I feel that they're really slow in bringing these people to justice. They have dragged it out for a year, and I know so that they can have all their ducks in a row. Their faces were right up in the camera. You could see who was doing what, and still they're slow to make things happen. Why is this?
So I was going to say, and I was going to go back to another
Okay.
question you had asked, but I'll start with what you just said first. Um, in terms of the January 6th riot, the you said they're slow to move in terms of making arrests so that they can have all their ducks in a row. That is not true. They're slow to move making arrests because we're dealing with white people. There are
I
so
didn't
many
want to
times
say
where
that, but yes.
officers will charge whatever they can charge, get a black person arrested, and then add charges later, or
Yes.
investigate it later and change the charge. So you can arrest somebody and change the charge. So they're not trying to get their ducks in a row. They're trying to do what they can to, you know, not arrest people or look for the lesser charge. And in terms of if it was black people, yes, it would have been just like General Payne said, slaughter on
Yes.
Pennsylvania Avenue. That's just what it would have been
Yes.
called. And I did want to address what you said about black women being abused by the police. Again, this country has devalued black women just across the
Yes.
board. When I say across the board, a long time ago, you know, white slave masters slept with black women. It was okay for black men to rape black women. Like nobody cared. You know, if black women did not get justice if you're raped, you know, so it's just, I mean, in terms of the way this country has valued or devalued
Yes.
people. At the top of the totem pole, you have white men, then you have black men, then you have white women. And I don't know if white women and black women probably, I mean, black men probably have switched now, where it's white men, white women, black men. But either way, black women are always looked at as the lowest on the totem pole. And you had asked the question about, you know, testing for COVID, if that's legal. If they're adults and they sign consent forms and say it's okay to test me for whatever reason, then yeah, it is legal.
My goodness. Wow. Okay, well, let's move on then.
You never know what I'm
General
going to say,
Payne.
right?
Yeah. General Payne. Since we're talking about this, you're about to go to Tulsa, Oklahoma to march and rally for Pamela Smith. She
Correct.
was raped while she was incarcerated with a salt shaker.
Mm.
I'm not sure if she ever intimated whether it was a broken shaker or just a glass shaker in general, but that's horrible as enough as it is. What exactly
Mm.
do meaning the Panthers, expect to accomplish once you get there?
Yeah, we want to really just ask for an arrest. Um, the one who did it, Mr. Cochran. Um, we really looking for charges to be pressed on him, and for it to rain downhill from there. So that's what we're really going for this particular trip. We really want to demand that he answers for what he's done. Um, and as you said, our black women are completely devalued, and not only by America, not only by the media, but by our own people. We have to
Yes.
realize that. And we just did the original Black Panthers, we just did a no more violence against women march and rally, and we spoke and had guest speakers and things like that right in Norfolk. And in that we were talking about our women and how we need to support them. Our men, we need to support our women and the children, and like I said, not just the ones that we're involved with, but anyone.
Right.
And if you see one of our women in danger, or whatever, you should definitely help. We have to treat them better, even with our music and different things like that. The way they're portrayed all the time isn't in the greatest light. And that's the thing. I always talk about this. It always goes back to entertainment, media, music, TikTok. If you watch all these
Yes.
different social media platforms, we're we love to have fun. We love to sit there, do these little new dances, do whatever we can to show our backsides off, and different things like that.
Yes.
At some point we have to realize there's a lot of other things going on, and these are distractions. At some point we have to get on that job and really start fighting for the agenda of having our rights, our civil rights, at least granted to us as human beings. We still don't have that. There's certain things that we need to work towards instead of sitting there on those type of platforms. So even in music, we're looking at back in the day. I'm sure you guys remember we had Lauryn Hill, we had Queen Latifah, we had all these different ones to kind of counterbalance the different ones like Little Kim. So I'm not saying that this music is just totally bad and you shouldn't listen to it. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying there was a
Right.
balance, and we need that balance back, because now you're hearing a one side track, and that's what we're getting. And now you're seeing our young women acting like that, and our young men out here acting crazy. It's poison, and we're accepting it.
Well, that was the point I was trying to make earlier as far as if we don't have strong leaders and someone that they can look up to, someone mentoring them and showing them that there is a different way, we're going to lose the generation. Amina, I'm sorry, I disagree with you on that. I don't feel that the generation coming up has a whole lot to offer.
I understand. I understand when you look at them. I just have a lot. I think what I see is that when they get riled up, they make a difference. So one of the things that I was thinking of is the Black Lives Matter protest. They, and it should not take us to look at what I call murder porn. It's disgusting in
Right.
order to get the country to come together. But when that did happen, the young people were out in droves. And even though, now it's like everybody's going back home, I think if they get riled up enough in a situation, and certainly, hopefully, the next situation won't be someone's murder, but I think they're very powerful. So I'm still going to just stick with what I said. They do need a lot of grooming, but they have so much potential,
Okay.
in my opinion.
Yeah,
You're
the
allowed your
issue I
opinion.
have
That's
with
why we're
them always
having this.
being, oh,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No. Go
Yeah,
on,
the
Mike.
issue I have with them not being self-motivated, sometimes, and almost like with the George Floyd situation, when that happened, when that murder happened,
Mm-hmm.
people were coming out the woodwork. Oh, they were all over the
Right.
place. Then it's just like, okay, dies down. Next thing happens. Here they come. You know, then dies down. The problem is, I think
They're
the
not
authorities,
sustaining it.
yeah, and the authorities know, okay, if we kill one of them, this is what's going to happen. Like clockwork. They're going to go out, they're going to pump their fist, they're going to shake some things up, they might destroy a store in their own neighborhood or something like that, and then they're going to go back home and we'll be in the clear. It'll blow over. Just let it blow over. Then they do it again. Okay, here they come again. Here comes a couple groups, getting their camera time or whatever they're doing, and then they go away, shake their fist, and it's over. You see, so it's a
Right.
difference in doing that and fighting until it changes. If we look at Brother Malcolm and Dr. King, they fought until something changed. On the down days, on the up days, whatever, they were going to still be in those streets. They was going to still march, and they was going to have an agenda. They had a plan. Now it's just kind of like we're gonna throw tantrums like children. We're gonna raise a little hell, and then we're gonna go back to our houses. And I don't think we can get any work done like that.
I agree. Okay. Amina, do you feel that the judicial system could be moving faster as far as not sending so many black people or minorities through the prison system? Because it seems like as hard as you and other people that are defending minorities are fighting for us, it doesn't seem to make that big of void in the system. Is still going on. So, what is the point?
Well, so here's the thing. Again, this goes back to why the criminal justice system in this country was created. It was definitely created to take advantage of that loophole in the 13th Amendment that says you're not a slave unless you're convicted of a crime. So in order, I look at the criminal justice system as a way to re-enslave blacks. And what General Payne said earlier about it being a system to profit, yes, the private prisons in this country are profitable. They are very profitable.
Yes.
But and there's a lot of companies, organizations, people that are profiting off of the backs of minorities and predominantly black. So the issue is, this is modern day slavery. So when you ask, can it change? Yes. Will it change under these circumstances? No, because
Probably not.
the system is meant to re-enslave blacks. Even with all of and when I say that, it's what I mean is that every system that's in place to incarcerate blacks or to re-enslave blacks, it starts from like the police. Like, we're gonna, when we pull a black person over for speeding, we're gonna arrest them and pull them out of
Right.
society. When we pull a white person over, we're just gonna give them a ticket. We're gonna pull that black person. So that it starts from the police discretion, and it goes all the way to the judge. I'm gonna give somebody probation if they're white, and the same person, same
10
same
years for the
background.
same thing.
Yeah, 10 years. So these are systems, not just it starts with the police, whether they're going to arrest. It's the jail, the Commonwealth Attorney's Office, even with probation and parole. All of these systems, like, I'm going to violate this black guy, but I'm going to tell the white guy to go get treatment. So these systems are in place throughout the entire system, that in with the goal of re-enslaving blacks. So you have to destroy those systems. You don't change them or reform them. You destroy them and put different people in them, which is why I ran for Commonwealth Attorney, which is why I'm running again in 4 years for
Good.
Commonwealth Attorney. The power of that office is like, I would have the power to drop charges, for someone that needs to
Right.
keep their job at the shipyard.
Yes.
And I don't think I don't think the black community understands the power with no unfettered discretion. Meaning, an officer says, I'm going to charge this guy with felony assault and battery on me. The officer is supposed to drop that charge off at the Commonwealth Attorney's office. As Commonwealth Attorney, I can dismiss that charge. So,
Wow.
and there's the officer has no power, and the judge has no power. If I go in and say I want to dismiss this charge, the judge can't do anything. And if the judge tried to do anything, what it looks like is, okay, you can't, dismiss the charge. Okay, well, let the defendant plead not guilty. What evidence does the Commonwealth have to put on? None. We have no evidence. So now what are you going to do? Dismiss the charge. That power, yeah, I don't think the community understands how much.
They
But the
don't.
point is that with that power, I could start reversing the effects of mass incarceration. I could start reversing it. Like, I just think people just don't understand that power. It is
That ought
unfettered
to be
power
your
to drop
platform.
unfettered power to drop criminal charges. Think about that. Mind blowing.
Absolutely. Listening audience, are you hearing this? Are you understanding what she's saying? Because it makes a lot of sense, and 4 years is going to go by like this. General
Right.
Payne, what drew you to the Panthers? Why did you want to be a Black Panther?
Because I was doing a little activist type work within the community, and I just saw a void. I saw something that needed more. I saw that we just needed something a little bit stronger, something that could really change lives. So that's what I sought out. And just studying Dr. Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale, and all the rest of the Panthers, Angela
Right.
Davis. It's just um, that's something that made radical change and made it fast. I never wanted to wait, years and years and years for a policy change. And, I mean, sometimes you have to do it, but if you can make a radical change, and if you can help your people, I think that's a beautiful thing. And that's one thing that we're talking about. If we would actually help ourselves, a lot of these things we wouldn't really even have to worry about, to be honest. A lot of these things would, I'm not going to say disappear, but they would be almost irrelevant, because we would actually help ourselves and lift ourselves up. But we're a long way from, doing that. But, we've seen it with other ethnic groups. So other nationalities do that all the time, and they're very successful at it. You know, so I mean, if you look at some of the major cities, they could build Chinatown in the middle of New York or wherever,
Right.
and make it completely profitable, and everybody lives a certain way. They're not really too much worried about what's going on the outside, because they're almost governing
They're
themselves. You know,
self-contained, yes.
absolutely, and we have to learn from that. That's something we have to definitely do, because I don't see it getting any better in a fast way. Um, just going through a system that's against us.
I think that the it's been initiated, whereas since this is Black History Month, where they say buy black, and it started maybe a month or so ago, so that you can shop at minorities and help to build a community. There was once a Black Wall Street. There's no reason why we
Mm,
can't do this again, whether it be in Oklahoma or Delaware or even here in Virginia in the good old South.
mm.
I personally feel, and it's my own humble opinion, that Amina, you give sound advice as to what needs to be done. Your platform needs to be heard. We need to be louder and stronger and behind you more so the next time you run. Mike, you are doing a fantastic job with the Panthers. How did you rise so quickly to be a general?
Just putting in work. I guess I love what I do. So it's not like it's work for me. It took a while. It wasn't as quick as most people think, but I just, when you love what you do, you're not working, and to be able to help your people, that's life changing for me. This is a lifestyle for me. It's not something that I just do. I live it, and I breathe it. I wake up with it, and so it's one of those type of things where when you totally engulf yourself in something, you can't do nothing but go up. There's no other way to go when you're in love with what you do. So I guess that should answer it.
That is awesome. So, everyone that has joined the Panther Party, especially in the 7 venues here in Virginia, is fully vested in making a change in the community, within their own lives, with their families and friends, and pushing for a better way of doing things for minorities. Well, it looks like we are definitely running down on time here. Um, Amina, is there anything else you want the populace to know about helping themselves within the system before they even get to the system?
Well, um, I'm gonna try to start putting out videos to help people that are in the criminal justice system, in terms of before they get into the system. You know, there's not much you can do. I tell people, whenever they encounter police officers, they should be as polite as possible. Unfortunately, I have to say that so that they
It
won't
doesn't
get
matter.
shot. And yeah, I mean, it's hard to be polite when someone's disrespecting you. But if you're polite, at least you have a chance to fight it in court, because officers are shooting people for no reason at all.
Right.
So, but
Absolutely.
what I will say is for people to look out for the videos that I'm going to start putting out on social media, as well as hopefully the television that will tell you how to um, fare better in the criminal justice system. So they're going to be very simple videos, things that you can actually do. I would just all I'm asking people to do is, when I give you that advice, to actually do it. I need everybody to start following that advice.
Right.
It'll be real simple. Just do it though. Just do it. That's all. When you see those come out.
Wow. Mike, is there anything you want to add as far as how the community and people can help themselves so that it will be more conducive to what they want to obtain in life as opposed to the negativisms that are going on?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. The first thing, is put the black agenda first. Definitely. We have to realize what that means, and always think what I always say is one village, one fight, and we have to fight together, and we have to stand strong. We're only as strong as your weakest link. So we
Right.
have to band together a little bit better, and we have to come together. Just like I'm gonna get with Queen Amina at some point in time, to where because we have a nice platform where we go out and talk to the public a lot. And I think a lot of initiatives and things that she's talking about, I want to have on a nice little sheet to make sure I can uh, talk to the public about those same things. And we can spread that word around a lot quicker and direct to the people because they need it, the things that she's talking about. So, I think that's something that's going to help. We need to work together. We need to use all the outlets that we have. There's plenty of people that are out here really
Absolutely.
trying to do the
Yes.
right thing. You know.
Absolutely. Well, I'd like to thank our esteemed guest, Amina Willard, Attorney Willard, I'm sorry, and General Mike Payne for being with us this evening and sharing their perspectives on so many issues that are going on within our history and within civil rights. This has been ESP TV. My name is Karen Bryson, and as always, be a blessing to at least one other person each day. Good night.
Thank you for having me.
Good night. Thank you.